The characters in WandaVision went through more than a few transformations over the course of the 9-episode show. Now it's time to unravel the mysteries of WandaVision to determine which characters are more than meets the eye. WandaVision's second episode ushers in a character who, after a moment's hesitation, introduces herself as Geraldine. Her hesitation is warranted. As we find out a couple episodes later, Geraldine is actually none other than Monica Rambeau. While MCU fans might not recognize the debuting Teyonah Parris, Monica is a character we've met before. It's just that she was a little bit younger in Captain Marvel. The daughter of Maria Rambeau, Monica plays a direct role in the events of Captain Marvel, even facilitating some important color changes in Danvers' iconic costume. It's no surprise that a grown-up version of Monica has been introduced in the MCU. Marvel Comics readers know her as a superhero in her own right under a few different codenames, including Captain Marvel. In fact, Paris is scheduled to reprise the role of Monica in Captain Marvel 2. Time moves strangely in the world of WandaVision, particularly when you're trying to track trimesters. Episode 2 begins with Wanda and Vision suggestively turning off the light in their bedroom and ends with Wanda pregnant and already showing after a single day. By the end of episode 3, she's given birth to 2 boys, Tommy and Billy. As of the end of WandaVision, Tommy and Billy are a little too young to be donning spandex and may or may not exist in a corporal form anymore. But it's impossible to ignore the connotations of those names. In Marvel Comics, Tommy Shepard and Billy Kaplan are, in fact, the superheroic children of Vision and Scarlet Witch, brought into being via an extremely complicated series of events involving witches, reincarnation, and a demon. Tommy, aka Speed, has powers inherited from his uncle Pietro. Like Pietro, Tommy can move at incredible speed, something his father, Vision, is also seen doing in episode 3. Billy, meanwhile, has reality warping powers akin to his mother's, and goes by the name of Wiccan. Wiccan and Speed are both members of the adolescent superhero team The Young Avengers, and considering that the MCU is getting ready to introduce other young heroes from the comics, an MCU version of The Young Avengers, complete with Tommy and Billy, appears to be in the making. The 4th episode of WandaVision is the first to break from the show's early format, stepping outside the in-universe sitcom to show viewers what's been happening in the world beyond Westview. In addition to providing more to the story of Monica Rambeau, this also allows WandaVision to reintroduce us to FBI agent Jimmy Woo, played by Randall Park. The MCU version of Woo first appeared in 2018's Ant-Man and the Wasp, where he's been charged with making sure Scott Lang remains securely under house arrest. In WandaVision, he at least appears reasonably competent, though he hasn't strayed too far from his roots as a comedy character. Of course, the Jimmy Woo of Marvel Comics lore is hardly a punchline. He appeared in 1956 as part of the short-lived Yellow Claw series, published by Atlas Comics, which would later evolve into Marvel. One of comics' first Asian American heroes, he's been bouncing around the Marvel universe ever since, becoming part of S.H.I.E.L.D. and leading multiple superhero teams. It's unclear if the MCU's Jimmy Woo will ever take on the significance of his comics counterpart, but his inclusion in WandaVision could suggest a larger role to come.
Authority looks good on you, Jimmy.
Jimmy Woo isn't the only familiar face who shows up in episode 4 of WandaVision. The show has officially brought back one of the oldest characters in the MCU, Darcy Lewis.
You dare threaten me, Thor, with so puny a weapon?
What? He was freaking me out!
Who first appeared in the franchise's 4th film, Thor, in 2011. Played by Kat Dennings, the snarky intern was one of the best parts of the movie, and Dennings reprised her role in 2013's Thor: The Dark World. But she hadn't been seen since, until WandaVision brought her back, giving us a look at what Darcy has been up to in the last decade of MCU continuity. She's come a long way.
I thought you were a science major.
Political science.
The most notable thing we learn is that Darcy is now a doctor of astrophysics, like her former mentor, Jane Foster. Her personality hasn't changed much, but she's a driving force in helping S.W.O.R.D. learn about what's happening in Westview. While the 3rd film in the Thor franchise, Thor Ragnarok, seemed to be something of a disavowal of the first 2, the franchise has done an about-face by bringing back Natalie Portman for the 4th chapter, Thor: Love and Thunder. Could Darcy be returning to the mainstream MCU as well? Prior to WandaVision, MCU fans could be forgiven for forgetting that Wanda Maximoff had a brother. Pietro Maximoff only appeared in one film, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and by the end of it, he was dead. He has gone unmentioned in the movies ever since. Wanda's limited screen time in ensemble films like Captain America: Civil War and Avengers: Infinity War has been largely devoted to her relationship with Vision. WandaVision brings back the speedster in episode 5, but with a twist. WandaVision's Pietro isn't played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, as he was in Age of Ultron, but Evan Peters, who portrayed a different version of Quicksilver, Pietro Maximoff, in the last 3 installments of Fox's X-Men franchise. In 2015, the existence of the two characters was something of an inside joke. Quicksilver has been both an X-Man and an Avenger, giving both Fox and Disney a case for including him. Unfortunately for anyone hoping for an official X-Men crossover into WandaVision, Monica discovers that the fake Pietro is actually just a brainwashed Westview resident with a truly unfortunate name.
You're Ralph Boner?
Boner.
There had been plenty of clues over the first 6 episodes of WandaVision that Wanda's neighbor, Agnes, wasn't exactly what she seemed, and in episode 7, we finally got confirmation. Agnes is in fact Agatha Harkness, a character from Marvel Comics with long-standing ties to the Scarlet Witch. As the end of the episode drives home, Harkness is a witch herself, and has been magically manipulating the events of WandaVision since the very beginning. The comics version of Agatha Harkness dates back to 1970, when she first appeared in the pages of the Fantastic Four. In contrast to WandaVision's delightfully sinister montage, she has primarily been a heroic figure in the comics, fighting alongside the Fantastic Four and the Avengers on several occasions when they've dealt with magical threats. Most directly relevant, however, is her association with Wanda. Harkness was Wanda's mentor and trainer in the use of magic, and she's been a recurring Scarlet Witch side character ever since. As WandaVision viewers discover over the course of the show, Director Hayward has a hidden agenda, specifically reassembling Vision's lifeless corpse so he can be wiped clean of his humanity and used as a sentient weapon. He gets his wish toward the end of the season, using Wanda's chaos magic to power up an emotionless Vision. More importantly for longtime Marvel readers, it also calls back to an arc from the comics in which Vision died and was later brought back, albeit without the brainwaves that gave his earlier incarnation its humanity. Cold, emotionless, and just as pale as the synthezoid seen in WandaVision, this version of the Vision no longer loves the Scarlet Witch, which splits up one of Marvel's most popular comics couples. WandaVision viewers familiar with this storyline will know that Vision eventually gets back to his old self, and the show seems to take care of that plot development when the two Visions square off in the Westview Town Library. After receiving a memory transfer from his magical doppelganger, Vision 2.0 flies off for parts unknown. At this point, there's no telling where or when he'll turn up next, but it seems pretty clear that we haven't seen the last of Vision. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite comic book heroes and villains are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.